So hi Saksham, long time, and I've known you for a couple of years, but really good to catch up with you, and knowing that you've made massive strides in your FIFA career. So how's it going? How are you?
Firstly, hi Kartikeya, long time brother. It's been going great.
Yeah.
As we've known each other for like 5-6 years, and not many know, but I do credit my move to footballers to you because you were the first guy to make it into a big organization internationally. You signed for No Fuchs Given, and uh, that made me realize that we've got potential, and I had my good results. So it motivated me, and it motivated others like Jenna said, who got signed by M10 and others, to try and get into an international organization. It's been 3 years with footballers now that I've signed with them, and it's been going great, brother.
And so just to run you through this, so this is just a casual podcast. So last week we had a parent who wanted to know more about the gaming industry, and we were able to get through all the myths which people have, and particularly parents have about gaming and its future. So this episode we chose to have you, being a professional FIFA player and doing it for such a long time, and playing for your country, playing for your club. So the intent here is to tell people more about your journey, how you've made it sustainable. You do this full time, as I can see. You stream, you play for a professional football FIFA club run by a professional footballer, Nuri Sahin. So firstly, I mean, to start things off, how did you get into FIFA?
So I was in my engineering. I've pursued civil engineering. I was in my engineering, and there was a local tournament in my city, which is Pune, and I happened to go for that tournament, thinking that at least I'll win a couple of games because I used to play with my friends before, and I used to do really well. And I lost in the finals of that tournament, and it happened to Rohan Ranjan, who had represented India in ESWC Paris, and he asked me to try and continue this and play this more seriously.
Yeah.
At that point of time, I obviously didn't think of it as being my career because I was into civil engineering, as I mentioned. So and then I started playing more tournaments in Pune, started winning, and then I started traveling for other tournaments in Mumbai, Delhi, and I was doing really good at that. And even weekend league finishes, I was finishing Elite One regularly. So I was quite confident that I could compete in this sport, which is FIFA, electronic sport is. And after you got signed, I thought I can also try and attract a few organizations for me. And luckily, footballers took a chance with me, and they got me in the organization. And after I finished my civil engineering, I thought that I have to give it a go and see if I can do it full time. Now, as of now, it has been going good so far. I've started streaming too. So as of now, completely happy with the choice that I've made in my life. And yeah.
So I know a lot of people took like different paths, and I know that as how you started off, it wasn't an easy way to get into FIFA because you were struggling with FIFA with a career choice, and some people managed to make a switch from that, including me. But how did you keep at it? And now that you're, if I'm not wrong, in FIFA Global Series, you're ranked at 28th in the West Asia region.
Yeah, so obviously being an Indian, I most of our parents won't be happy if we choose a non-conventional field. I initially wanted to be a sportsman. I was really into football, but when I was in 12th, my parents asked me to forget that because I was really good at studies too, and my grades started to drop,
Yeah.
and I had this regret that I couldn't push forward and try and become a professional footballer. And then when FIFA happened, obviously I did lose a lot of tournaments initially too, after having a good start. But I somehow felt that I need to push it harder this time and not live with another regret that I didn't try and do something that is a passion of mine. So that is how I thought of it, that even if things don't work for me, I've at least got a civil engineering degree to fall back upon.
Yeah.
So I thought I'll give 1 year to myself. Luckily, in this case, my brother was really supportive of me because he was working at that time and he was really good at sports too. So looking at how his life became after joining Tata Motors, which is a great company, he asked me to try at least for a year and see if things work out for me. And in that year, I managed to win an international tournament, and that gave me even more reasons to continue it forward. And this is now after graduation, it has been like 2.5 years now. So I'm doing this as a full-time job for like past 2.5 years, and I'm quite happy about my decision, to be honest.
Yeah, because I've personally followed your journey for the past 3 whole years, and it's been great to watch you how you started off, how you started from the absolute like ground, and made your way up. And this was purely grind, skill, and as you said that you had like that dilemma of going towards more of a engineering sort of a
Yeah.
background, but instead you stayed with gaming, and knowing that your parents have supported you. So, has there been any challenge apart from I mean, the Indian community itself? I mean, it's quite hard to sustain financially with FIFA, and could be
Yeah.
other games too. So, any challenge which you faced, and how did you overcome it?
Firstly, as you've been a FIFA pro yourself, even if you put in a lot of hours in this game, it may not necessarily mean that you'll win a lot of tournaments,
Yeah.
because this is a game which is scripted, and the script could work in a way that it will force you to not win a game even if you deserve to win. So
Hmm.
this was a major challenge, to beat that script. So what
Hmm.
happens was, many a times there were tournaments that thought that I deserved to win, but I didn't win. Unfortunately, lost. It has happened to you too, so you can vouch for that too. But this was the major challenge, and currently in FIFA, there are regular patches that come. So a patch does change how the game works.
Hmm.
So in order to adapt to that patch, you need to be really good, and that is another challenge. And in online gaming, as you know, not a lot of people do have a quality net, so that also affected the gaming experience.
Hmm.
So those were some of the challenges that I faced with the game itself.
Hmm.
And apart from that, obviously convincing my parents, even though brother was really supportive, but other members of the family weren't really necessarily keen to let me do this thing that I'm really interested in.
Hmm.
And apart from that, as mentioned before, results was, I guess, the major
Yeah.
factor that did cause a lot of issue, because you know it too. You've won AFGC, you're the first Indian to win an international
Hmm.
tournament, but
Hmm.
after that you also lost a few tournaments, and
Hmm.
that does affect your mentality, thinking
Yep.
that you've won an international tournament and suddenly you can't win a tournament in the country that you're supposed to dominate. So all of
Yep.
these things do affect mentally, and
Sometimes even in your own area.
even in your own area, man. Like,
Yep.
imagine being an Asian FIFA gaming champion, and then you come back to Delhi, and then you lose a tournament. So that
Yep.
is really unacceptable.
No
Uh,
offense taken.
yeah. So that still happens to me. Like, I
Yeah.
was having a really bad patch. Like, I was losing a lot of tournament. I mean, even I'm an international champion. Obviously, after you, I won after you. Like, as you mentioned before, I'm currently 28th in West Asia. I was actually 15th till second week of February,
Hmm.
but my second qualifiers won the best, so I dropped like 13 spots.
Hmm.
So imagine being like 15th in West Asia, in a region where you've got world champion like MS Dosari competing,
Hmm.
and then you go online and you lose to a player who's got skill rating, like you've got skill
Hmm.
rating in FIFA too,
Hmm.
and you lose to a guy who's got 300 skill rating less than you. So
Hmm.
those are something that does affect you a lot mentally,
Hmm.
and for that, you just have to grind hard and just not give up.
Yeah, and as you mentioned that probably a few regrets on the way of firstly leaving football,
Yeah.
and I think a lot of FIFA players originally are footballers, and because the football thing doesn't work out for them,
True, exactly.
FIFA is another way to relive your dreams, compete on a stage, get recognized by
Exactly.
an audience. Me personally, again, I was into football heavily, but the only reason I switched to FIFA was because I found it easier to run with the press of a button than actually going and running. So, so with football, and since it's a sport and it's just like an electronic version of the same game which we play.
Yeah.
So, except for the sustainability, how has it turned you into a mini celebrity? Do you get a lot of people messaging you as fans, supporting your work, and does that sort of give you a boost to keep you at it?
I mean, I never thought that we'll get so many messages, and as you mentioned, having semi-celebrity status. I won't say huge celebrity status, obviously, because this is electronic sports, and a lot of people don't even know about this thing. But who are into gaming are definitely following a lot of people. So as I mentioned, I've been streaming, and I've crossed 1.5k followers on Twitch recently in like 5 months of stream, and there are a lot of guys who regularly tune into my stream and ask me as to how they can convince their parents to let them pursue this professionally. Because as you know too, like even though your parents were quite supportive, you chose to stop competing and get into other things. But a lot of parents aren't really that supportive, and it becomes a really difficult task to convince them. So there were a lot of questions on my social media, on my Twitch streams, as to how they can convince their parents and how they can improve their game. And like it does feel really good, but at the same time, when a lot of people start knowing you and they know that you're really good, it adds a little bit of pressure to perform too. Because when I was losing, there were a lot of people asking me how have I won an international tournament and I'm losing to someone.
All the time happens, the toxic.
Yeah, exactly. So there are always two sides to it. It feels really good, but it also adds a little bit of burden, which is something that I'm trying to get rid of. Even you and I, since we've been competing since years now, it has been like 5-6 years that I started competing. One small loss and people forget about what you've done in the past 5-6 years. And it is really difficult, that way. But
I know you've been pretty humble with your, way of dealing with success. So, I mean, how do you deal with that pressure? Because, since you said that, and I would actually call it a huge achievement having, 1.6k subscribers on Twitch just for FIFA, because India, even though a lot of people play FIFA, I don't think they consume FIFA-based content. And I think it's been great that, you do this full time and you make a revenue out of it too.
Indeed.
And coming back to, the bit of convincing parents, I don't think anyone had a easy start. The support only comes once you back it up, once you start winning those, tournaments. And I'm sure your parents were even more supportive once you won that.
That has to be highlighted, that if you want to do something, you also need to show results. So you have to back it up. That is the bottom line about it.
Yeah, because I get a lot of people saying, how do I convince my parents? How do I do that? I'm like, you need to win. There's no other way out.
As simple as that, indeed.
Yeah. I mean, you can be good, you can be third, you can be fourth, but if you don't have any achievements to show, I mean, as a parent, I would, not me as a parent, but I think as a parent, if I put myself in their shoes, I don't think I would be supportive either, because it's a new field, I wouldn't want my kid to risk it all out on a field.
Especially in India, because normal sports aren't really supported that well enough when it comes to money or anything else. So this is an electronic sport altogether different field. It has seen a boom due to the pandemic, since most of the people are home and they're taking a lot of notice about this through streams. But it is really difficult for a parent otherwise to get convinced by their child if he's not winning a lot of tournaments,
So that's I think that's pretty much it about FIFA and about gaming. So what do you do apart from FIFA? How do you keep yourself motivated apart from FIFA? Do you work out? Do you go to the gym? Do you play football?
So, I feel even for we've been on top of our Indian FIFA community. You can say that too. There's immense pressure on our shoulders already for performing, because we are sort of flag bearers of the community, right? Whenever we go for an international tournament, you're basically representing your whole country there. So all of that is a lot of pressure. So in order for that, you need to have, you need to be really fresh. You need to be really mentally strong. I personally feel that whenever I'm playing, I get into a better shape, and it also makes me a lot more mentally strong. So I do play a lot of sport. I do regularly play badminton daily. That is something I have to do, because I've always felt that whenever I stop playing sport in general, I start to become lazy, and the results do get affected whenever I play a tournament too. So being really sharp mentally is a very important thing.
Hmm.
It could depend. You could go to the gym, hit the gym, and do
Hmm.
weights and whatever. But
Hmm.
I personally find sports the gateway. So I think so. Since
Hmm.
electronic sport is basically sitting at homes
Hmm.
and playing for long hours, because you need to put a lot of hours in to get better at the game.
Yep.
So you need to also take care about yourself and get fitter and get better.
Yeah,
So
so
that is a
I
must. Yeah.
mean, just for the people who will be watching this podcast, gaming is not about just sitting on your ass and playing
Yeah.
FIFA all day. It is a grind. I mean, apart from playing FIFA, apart from
Apart,
being on
exactly.
the pitch, on the virtual pitch, you have to go off the pitch and like build yourself up
Build yourself
personality
up.
wise, mentally.
Indeed.
So a lot of people, get. I mean, when I used to back in my competing days,
Yeah.
lot of people used to come to me and say, so have you seen the sunlight? Have you? No. I mean, this is not how it usually is, because even though you play for 5-6 hours, you need to keep a balance in life, and
Keep a balance
also
in life. Yeah.
I don't think. So even though we are, desperately trying to make it a legitimate thing, being a professional FIFA player,
Yeah.
I don't think this is something which you can just simply jump into. So you have an engineering degree.
Yeah.
I think a balance can be achieved, because right now the even though we are building that system, and I'm in no means I'm trying to say that you shouldn't pursue your passion, but I
Yeah. Yeah.
think
Yeah.
having that safer option as a backup, I think both things can be managed. Why not go for
Yeah,
both?
so that is what I always give a suggestion to people,
Yeah.
because you must be noticing there are a lot of guys in their early teens who've started taking this lot seriously. Like for Anders, for that example, he made a world
Oh.
record of going unbeaten for 536 games, if I'm not wrong. He's just 14. He even can't compete at global events right now. So
Hmm.
same way we are seeing witnessing a lot of interest from the young guys in their early teens. So
Hmm.
something that I do suggest them is to do is pursue education. Don't quit after 12. There are a lot of guys that I know who
Hmm.
wanted to do this thing full time, which is great.
Hmm.
But at the same time, they wanted to drop out from colleges, which is something that I would never suggest. Considering this is India, it is not really something that has a lot of good investment as of now. There will be, because I was in Malaysia when I went for my international tournament. Uh, in their bill, they passed a bill in which they had a large chunk of money just for esports.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, in India, there is nothing like that. Even though AIFF, our footballing federation in India, have announced a tournament, so you could see that such big organizations are taking interest in this.
Yeah.
But something that I would definitely suggest someone who wishes to do this full time is don't quit school or college for this. At least have something to fall back upon. Like
Yeah.
even you've studied, you worked in organizations who do a lot of things for esports. You've been a professional esport at the top, so
Hmm.
you can vouch for it, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, even if not esports, I think even Lewandowski, a professional footballer, has a degree in sports. So I don't think
Indeed, man.
education can ever go wrong. I think it's fine,
Exactly.
unless you're Bill
Indeed.
Gates and you can afford to drop out from Harvard. But I think it's a lot of people give education and hate, and going towards a more like a safer option. Even though we are trying to make it a career, I think it will take some time, even for let's give the older generation also some time to, consume this, because it's a lot of information which is coming out of esports.
Indeed, man. Indeed.
So apart from FIFA, talking football, how do you think Chelsea is doing this season?
I mean, I wasn't necessarily expecting us to win the title, to be honest, even though we spent heavily in this before the start of this season. Lampard had a poor run of form, but I was not really happy about the sacking, considering he's a club legend.
Yep.
But I expect us to finish in top four. Honestly, this was my ideal expectation, since we've got half of our team, new players joining this team. People will argue that there has been a massive injection of money and we should be winning title, but I don't think so. We can't expect half of the new team to perform instantly and give us results. Top four in this season and maybe a cup would be ideal, and then from next season onwards, we need to fight for title. Is something that I feel.
Yep.
Talking
I
about
think
that, you're a Liverpool
new
fan.
coach Thomas Tuchel. I think the change has been there, right?
Indeed. Like I was skeptical, to be honest, if this was the right move to get a new coach mid-season. At least I thought at least Lampard could have been given time till end of season, but Tuchel has been insane. As soon as his first game in charge, we I could see a lot of change in the quality of football that was on display. Uh, and as of now, I'm quite happy, and I feel that my club is going in a positive direction, and we should hopefully challenge for title from next season onwards.
So, as we mentioned that, with the new coach, I think things change a lot for the whole club. So, I mean, it's a new concept. So, and we at Vigify, the company that I'm working with, so we at Vigify firmly believe that esports could be something which can have a professional structure around it. Like providing players with coaching and all the necessary information that they need to develop their skills. So, do you think with a sport like FIFA, even though the coaching is happening, all over the world, Gamers Class and Tex, all these people, they're giving coaching lessons. So, do you think sort of that structure in India is needed? Because a lot of people, as you said, they want to become pro players, but not everyone has, the right information and the right guidance to be at that level. We personally, we just grinded it out. It was a very raw journey. We didn't know
Yeah.
what to do. It was just more like, trying everything out and seeing whatever works. So do you
Sure.
think that, having an incorporation of coaching in FIFA would help the Indian audience?
I firmly believe in the idea of having a coach because, as you could see, a lot of players, as you've mentioned, Tex and all, even though they are giving coaching, but they also receive coaching at tournaments. Even though they're on top of the world right now when it comes to FIFA esport, one of the top earners. You take it, Tex, Dosari, Houston. Most of these guys have a dedicated coaches. Most of these guys have dedicated coaches before their tournament. So I firmly believe having a coach plays an important role because I myself, even though I've been playing since years now, but I was having a very rough patch in the last couple of months when it comes to tournament, and I felt clueless because of the new patch in FIFA 21 right now. In all my year of competing, I've never felt clueless. So for the first time, I ever felt clueless about the game. So at that point, even for someone who's got so much experience, would have helped. Having a coach would have definitely helped. So I feel having a coach is a very important thing and something that a lot of organizations should also think of it because I understand some top players have their own coaches, but for others who are aiming to reach that level, at least having a coach per team is a must. Is something that I feel.
Yeah, and so with this platform, what we're trying to achieve is, we're trying to give people either one-on-one lessons or like a group session. So, you being so having 5 years of experience with coaching, so let's say a young person comes to you and he wants to compete. So, apart from the skill aspect, because we obviously know you're heavily skilled and you're equipped to teach them whatever they can do in the game to maximize their chances to win. But apart from that, how are you going to push them? I mean, what is that sort of a mental, push that you're going to be giving to them? And is that something which is, I mean, we see that in sports. So that sports psychology, do you think there's a need for it to be in esports too?
I definitely believe it because even though we can argue that this is an easier way of playing sports, electronic sports, but pressure is insane even in this esports field. And I think so. Mentality is the key thing in becoming a great player from a good player. And there are a lot of situations in a game that happen wherein you're not confident if a certain move is the right move or wrong move. Because let's take example for a formation. So you're trailing by 2 goals in a tournament, an important tournament game. You change a formation, you make it to 2-2. And when this happens, even I get confused what to do now because you were 2-0 down. Shall you continue playing the formation that got you 2 goals? Even though that could be a very aggressive style of play and that could leave you exposed in the back, or whether to go back to your natural formation in which you started with, but you did concede 2 goals. So there are a lot of doubts in the mind even during a game. So that is when I feel a coach will help. That is this is a doubt that I have when I play tournaments, when I'm playing global series tournament. So I'm quite confident that similar issues could be faced by a player who's even playing a small tournament or a friendly tournament, you know. So coach definitely helps in that case. Mentality is the main aspect in this coaching, I think. So a lot of people have different skill set, you know. I used to be a really good skiller, but I've become an efficient skiller. There is something you could learn with experience. But working on your mind is something that could definitely be helped by coach. Obviously experience does teach you a lot of things, but even for someone who's had so much of experience of playing international tournaments, can get confused. So I can just imagine what a person who's just starting, you know, competing would go through.
Yeah, so I think that's the whole issue we have with, you know, Indian gaming in general. There's no structure, there's no guidance for people, and I think, you know, with you being here, we'd love to have you on as a coach. So hopefully that works out. And yeah, it was great to speak with you and, you know, learn about your experiences, how you started, and you just made your name and made your name up. And yeah, it was a pleasure to have you here, and hopefully see you on the platform soon.
Likewise, brother. It was great talking to you because I've mentioned this multiple times, and I'm not shy of mentioning it again because you were the first guys who won an international tournament. You were the first guy who signed with a big organization. So guys like me, even though I probably started earlier than you, do look up to you. So it was great to catch up with you, brother. And we'll see what happens in the future as to about this concept. This is a great concept. I definitely believe in this concept. But let's see what future holds for both of us, man.
All right. Thank you.
All right, brother. Take care, man.